Hello Capsuleer, my name is Gildy and welcome to EVE Online. In the last video about Factional Warfare, I covered how to get into the content, how to run sites, and how that leads to capturing systems. Today we will dive into 3 more advanced aspects of Factional Warfare, explore how they work with the main content loop, how they affect the dynamics inside of it, and how do they maybe provide us with more things to do in Factional Warfare. First in line is Shipcasters. They are one-way gates that every faction has in their high-sec headquarters, which can connect up to 3 landing pads in low-sec provided by the NPC factions and built by Capsuleers, in theory providing the ability to allow you to jump way closer to action rather than take the stroll through rearguard systems just to get to front lines. Location of the Shipcasters for each faction is Mehator for Amar, Onamon for Kaldari, Intaki for Galente, and Amo for Minmatar. In order for the Shipcaster to connect to landing pads, Capsuleers have to supply 300 Smart Fab units, 10 self-harmonizing power cores, 200 quantum microprocessors, and 8,000 nanotransistors per landing pad to have them built. This, at the time of this video being made, comes to around 88 million ISK. And yes, if the price is different when you watch, go scroll down to check how long ago it was published before you type your angry comment. Once the Shipcaster has landing pads available, it will go through cycles of being active and sending you to a system, then powering down and changing to a different destination. Shipcaster can be connected to 3 systems at once, however, players can build more beacons up to be landing pads to allow the Shipcaster to have new connections once the current ones are taken down by enemies. Taking those landing pads down is pretty straightforward. You need to tank a few rats that sit on the landing pad and first bash the shields, then after an hour-long reinforcement timer, rest of the structure can be destroyed, denying faction the ability to jump through the Shipcaster into the system till an idle pad is recreated by NPCs and then rebuilt by players. The ease of taking them down and the inherent cost of building the landing pads makes for the Shipcaster not being utilized as much as it was hoped they would. As a single player or a small group, if you want to have a way to get to content faster, it's generally better to simply haul ships to a single base ahead of time and set up jump clones there, as you won't be able to defend a landing pad easily with the reinforcement timer being that short. They are, if anything, something for corporations that live in Factional Warfare low-sec to utilize to cut down on the route it takes to resupply their staging system. You can easily build a landing pad, have haulers worth of items shipped into your faction high-sec command center system, then when landing pad is finished, enlist those hauling pilots and take the jump right into your home area. Hopefully at some point we will see Shipcasters revisited, either strengthening them somehow, maybe allowing for 2-way jump in, provided that player has no Capsuleer log of timers to prevent people just escaping right after a fight. Maybe the costs lowered, but they do need something to make them more desirable to have more corporations just go and take the cost of building landing pads. Next mechanic is great, especially when you want to go make some ISK off of people running the content. I am talking about the system upgrades. Players taking part in Factional Warfare can donate their LP earned from enlistment to upgrade the system their faction controls. This is great when a corporation wants to set up their own little industrial site to mass produce ships for members to use in the fights, or when you want to go and set up shop in an NPC station and start selling items to people passing through, hoping that they might need a resupply and will buy ammo, drones, maybe even modules off of you. There is 5 levels of system upgrades and a buffer level. Each of the 5 system levels gives 10% bonus to lower broker fees for contracts and market orders, as well as lowering costs for industry activities in NPC stations. In order to upgrade the system, you need to warp to the infrastructure hub, right-click on it, and select Open System Upgrade panel. This allows you to donate LP and see how far the system is from the next level. There is a slight maintenance tax for donating LP, so you might need to donate a bit more than the actual levels are to make sure you go over the thresholds. More than one player can chip in to collectively get the desired level. Once you hit level 5, you can put more LP into a buffer. Why is a buffer needed? It's there because if the system becomes frontline or a command center, enemy militia players running sites in the system will slowly chip away at the upgrades. 10% of the LP rewards they receive for running sites in the system you upgraded will be subtracted from the system's LP pool, slowly chipping away and lowering the upgrades. You can check the level of the upgrades through the System Information panel on the left side of your screen when you are in a system, or by looking a system up and going to the Factional Warfare tab. Finally, we get to the most content generating point, the Factional Warfare content. The content for War of the Factions, Advantage system. In the video about basics, I mentioned that you need to collect victory points in order to capture a system. Advantage is a secondary system that directly influences how easy it becomes to capture or defend the system based on the efforts of the players completing secondary objectives in systems. Advantage can be seen in the Factional Warfare map in detail, and also once you get in a system, it shows up on the left side of the screen together with how much contested the system is. Of course, you can also look up a system and check the current levels in the Factional Warfare tab. The information you will get is X faction has the advantage and the percent. However, that's not the whole picture. This system works off of who worked more advantage percent for their side. For example, if both factions get 50% advantage, no one has it. If your faction pushes down advantage of the enemy down to 40% and you retain your 50%, system will show that your faction has 10% advantage. How does advantage influence capturing systems? The side that has the advantage gets increased victory point count depending on the percent they have over their enemies. So if you get 50% advantage, suddenly you get 50% more victory points for every site you capture. Advantage can be influenced in a few ways. I will list them here, but since the video is taken a bit already, next video I make on Factional Warfare, probably the last one in this series, will go over how to complete each of the sites. First and biggest way to influence advantage is grouping up and running battlefield sites. It's a site that pays LP up to 30 players, gives a massive 2000 victory points boost, and gives 15% advantage boost to the faction that captures it. Next two ways to boost the advantage for your faction are available for solo players. First is Scannable Rendezvous Point site, which once completed and doable in Tech 1 or Faction Cruiser gives you 10,000 LP and increases your faction advantage by 2% points. Then we have Propaganda Broadcast Structures. It's a deployable you can get through your faction LP store if you got the items for them, which you can get by exploring enemy rearguard systems and hunting their operation center data sites. Once you get the deployable, you need to defend the beacon for 10 minutes from rats warping in. Similarly to Rendezvous Point, you get 10,000 LP and, according to EveWiki, around 1%, but from my experience, more like 2% advantage. That's it when it comes to adding advantage for your faction, but if we pile it on constantly, both factions hit 100% and no one has any advantage over the other. This is where removal of enemy advantage comes into play as well. One way to do it is to deploy listening posts, which work identical to the propaganda broadcast structures, but remove enemy advantage after completion. The other way to remove enemy advantage is to look around the frontline and command operation systems for enemy supply caches or depots. Blowing that one up takes away 2% of enemy advantage and gets you 10 to 15,000 LP because it scales with the frontline bonus. And there is also passive advantage your faction gets that cannot be removed by any of those actions. It is the passive bonus of 10% for each neighboring system, with different systems given the bonus depending on if you are defending or attacking. Let's say we have a frontline system controlled by Caldari, with 3 command operation systems next to it. It will give 30% advantage to Caldari in that frontline system that cannot be removed by performing operations in the system. But then Galente gets 10% advantage for having a frontline bordering this Caldari system. So in theory, if cracking that frontline system would be too difficult, Galente can take out the command operation systems around it, lowering Caldari passive advantage by 10% for each system taken over, and stacking 10% of their own on top. And that's all I have for you today. Next video in the series, as I mentioned, will go over the mechanics, fits, and how I used to run the different advanced sites that influence advantage system to tip the scales of the conflict. As usual, if you drop any comment under the video, add your in-game name to it. I will be choosing 3 random comments from under this video and give partner exclusive ship skin you see on the screen to the winners. Only original comments count, not answering to someone's comment. 2 more skins will be given away on my Discord server, link in the video description. Both giveaways will finish 3 days from this video being published. If you would like to support me, you can use my referral link in the video description to get 1 million skill points. You lose nothing and I get a kickback from your first purchases in the EVE Online store if you used it. Other way, without an extra cost to you, is to use code GILDY either in the EVE store or on the Market Dragon website. It supports me as I receive a small commission from the purchases done with the code. Lastly, if you want to throw a coin or 2 my way and get a badge next to your name when you comment, you can join the channel. Click the join button below the video to see the details. If you enjoyed this video, share it with a corp mate that might need it, leave a like and subscribe to see my future uploads. If you are interested in what I will talk about next, my videos go up on Sundays. And if we never see each other in space again, Capsulia, fly safe.